So a lot of people in general are afraid of failure. How did you become one of those people who doesn't seem to be afraid of failing?
It doesn't exist. It's not existent. What the hell does that mean? Seriously, what does failure mean? It's not. It doesn't. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist.
The concept of failure has been studied more than 1,000 times. You've seen countless videos and nothing really changed, right? So what if the real solution isn't learning more about failure, but changing how you see it from the start? Most people treat failure like a stop sign, a sign that says, you're not talented enough, you're not smart enough, you don't have what it takes. I mean, it sounds logical, but that same thought is exactly what keeps people stuck. If you want to overcome the fear of failure, you have to change your perspective. Once you do, you start realizing failure was never the thing holding you back. I think one of the main reasons people never go after their dreams isn't because they lack talent or ambition. Most of the time, it's because they're afraid to fail. Not just the act of failing, but what that failure might say about them. That if they truly try and it doesn't work, maybe it means they were never meant for it. I understand that feeling. It's that quiet pressure in the back of your mind telling you there's more you could be doing with your life. You have ideas, you have goals, and you can almost picture the life you want. Yet somehow, you stay where you are, hesitating to take the first real step. On paper, you have everything you need to succeed, but something still holds you back. So you start asking yourself why. Why does it seem like everyone else is moving forward? Why does starting feel so difficult? And instead of beginning, you wait. You wait until you feel more confident, more prepared, or until things make more sense. But the truth is, fear of failure usually doesn't stop people after they try. It stops them before they even start. And once your perspective changes, you begin to see failure completely differently. The first step becomes clear, even if it's still the hardest one to take.
My name is Kobe Bryant. I'm 17 years old, and I've been lucky enough to live not only in different parts of the United States, but Europe as well.
Before anyone saw him as one of the greatest players ever, Kobe Bryant was just a high school kid who missed an important shot. In a playoff game against Utah Jazz, he kept shooting and the shots just wouldn't fall. They ended up losing the game. At the time, no one paid him much attention. It seemed just like another moment where a player falls short. But Kobe didn't see it that way. The next day, he went back to the gym and shot for hours, hundreds of times, working on the same shots he had missed. Because to him, failure wasn't something to avoid. It was information. It showed him exactly where he needed to get better. And that's the difference most people never realize. Fear of failure makes you step back before you even begin. But the people who eventually succeed use failure as the starting point. They show up, they try, and when things don't go their way, they keep going anyway. People who move forward rarely have everything figured out. They just start anyway. You just need to be willing to face the possibility that it might not work the first time. Because every attempt teaches you something new. And over time, those attempts begin to add up. What once looked like failure slowly turns into progress. When I was at university, there were moments in class when I didn't fully understand something. The question was right there in my mind, ready to ask. But then another thought would appear. What will people think if I ask this? Maybe everyone else already understands. So instead of raising my hand, I stayed quiet. And in that moment, without realizing it, we often make a quiet deal with ourselves. Stay comfortable now, deal with the consequences later. The problem is, those consequences don't show up right away. They show up years later. They arrive as a sentence you hear in your own mind one day and content here. If only I had tried. That's what regret sounds like. They think escaping the comfort zone means blowing up their life. It's not. It doesn't mean quitting your job to start a business or leaving everything behind and moving across the world. That's not what Kobe Bryant did either. When he had a bad game, he didn't reinvent his entire career. He simply showed up the next day and practiced the shot he missed, again and again, until they stopped being weaknesses. When he realized parts of his game still needed work, he didn't try to avoid those weaknesses. He leaned into them, studying footwork, practicing difficult shots, learning from players who had mastered them before him, even when it meant starting again from the basics. Those aren't dramatic leaps, they're what I call small acts of courage, and this is how you create a life you're proud of. Kobe Bryant once said, "If you're afraid to fail, then you're probably going to fail." And that one sentence explains his entire mentality. Because when you stop seeing failure as something to fear and start seeing it as something to learn from, your mindset shifts. You become more open to trying, more willing to step into situations that feel uncertain. So explore something different. Learn a skill you've never tried before. Start a conversation with someone new. Visit a place you've never been. Put your work out there even if it isn't perfect yet. And this is how you need to live every day, in the present. Because this moment is all we have. As humans, we tend to focus so much on the possibility of failure. In a strange way, it creates a paradox. We're afraid of trying and failing in the moment. Yet what we truly fear is looking back one day and realizing we never tried at all. So it was never really about failure itself. Failure was never the enemy. The real problem was letting the fear of it decide what we do and who we become.